You generally start off with the "What's up, everybody," and we go from there.
Oh, perfect. Thank you.
Gotcha, bud.
What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Formula America podcast. We're your hosts, Kurt and Dylan, and we're hot off the heels of this Azerbaijan Grand Prix. And I got to say, man, this was a banger of a race. I was super impressed with this race.
Yeah, I woke up just for some reason, woke up at 6 a.m. and was laying there in bed. It was still dark out. And I was pretty awake, and I was like, "Oh shit, the race is on right now!" It's actually really early. When I went out there and got to watch the whole thing before anyone else woke up, it was just gonna sit, enjoy it. Aubrey did say I woke her up on lap 50 when there was a wee little accident that I don't think anybody saw coming.
I was sitting on the couch. I had a pillow in my hand. I launched it across the house. The dogs start going crazy. Everybody's like, "What happened,
dude?"
Oh man, dude. Yeah. So just. For one, coming into this weekend, I was saying this is probably one of my favorite street circuits. It's super high speed. You've got super tight and twisty corners. You've got walls everywhere. So we expected there was going to be a safety car. I didn't expect it was going to take till one lap left in the race.
They didn't even do a safety car. They were like, "Screw it, VSC, let them finish."
And then, two different rookies on the track. It was just set up to be an exciting race.
Plowed into a wall in FP1. You're like, "Up, here we go!"
I took a picture of it. It was like Logan Sargent? Question mark?
No kidding. But dude, it was so good. Quali was pretty lame, other than Norris getting called out by freaking Ocon.
Oh my god. Well, of course, there goes my predictions for the weekend, because I had Norris. I think both of us had Norris on pole.
Yep.
And then I had Norris P1. I couldn't believe that. And I went back and I couldn't really figure it out. I guess you were saying it was because of.
That's what the announcer said. As I was continuing to watch, they said, "Oh, he got called out by Ocon's yellow flag." When I went back, it didn't look like it, but they weren't really showing him live at that time. But that's the announcer said he got called out by Ocon's yellow flag.
Yeah, I know that on the McLaren Instagram, Andrea Stella, he was doing a little talk after the race, and he was talking about how Lando's qualifying got ruined by a green flag that turned white for some reason, or a white flag that turned yellow for some reason. The way he said it was kind of strange, but I guess they are, pretty upset about the way it was handled. Because, rightly so. You took the championship contender and took him out in Q1. So
Rubbin's racing, Harry.
Rubbin's racing, you're right, but he did a pretty good job of coming back. Damage control,
dude. He had a hell of a race. Really did a good job. Him and Lewis Hamilton both. Lewis starting from the pit lane after a whole bunch of new power unit, and making it up to 9th place in that Mercedes through all that craziness is. I was pretty impressed.
Yeah, one of my favorite narratives throughout the weekend was coming into this. Everybody's talking about papaya rules. Yeah. Everybody's talking about. What's McLaren going to do? Are they finally going to prioritize Lando? And they came out and said, yeah. And they asked Oscar, and Oscar was like, "I've said it before. If they ask me, I'll give up the place." But in his mind, Oscar's like, challenge accepted. I feel like.
Yes. So I was thinking about it. I was like, man, if Lando had qualified where he should have qualified, and it was a McLaren 1-2 with the way that Piastri was driving, I think that would have been a bit of a nerve-wracking race on the pit wall.
Oh yeah.
Piastri might have let him into first, but Piastri would be right there waiting for him to make a mistake. That would have been, I think, a little bit nerve-wracking.
Well, even looking at Lando's recovery drive, when Carlos and Checo took each other out, if there was more laps, theoretically, Lando might have been able to catch up. And I think even as a Lando fan, I would have been. I don't know. Oscar earned that one. For them to then snatch it away from him, if they would have done that, I think that would have been a little bit, a bridge too far, I guess. But luckily,
he so earned that, man. That battle with Leclerc, that dive bomb on lap 20. Not even Leclerc thought he would be. He was like, "Oh, he's not close enough." Just kidding.
Yeah. They're comparing it to Danny Ricciardo back in the day and the way he would do it. Even I love how Oscar was like, "It was 50-50, bro." It's I didn't know if that was going to work. That's awesome. And man, we keep talking about it, but you just get to see this guy's trajectory and Oscar Piastri's arc. And it's sky's the limit with this guy, man.
Dude,
it's incredible.
And he's so calm, cool, collected. He's so easy. I'm so excited to continue watching this kid.
Yep. Lando better hurry up and get that championship quick, because pretty soon he's not going to have a chance.
Yeah. Lando's agent's going to be saying, no. There's two number ones. Remember, Lando's not number two. I thought it was really interesting. They talked about it a good bit during the race. It was really affecting Leclerc on Piastri, but it was also kind of calling out Lewis, even fighting with the rookies. Is that second sector being so twisty, turny, and slow speed was so hard to follow people through that, like, they even said at the announcers that coming out of turn 16, heading for the straightaway, you needed to be sub 0.6 of a second behind the car in front of you in order to actually be able to catch him. And I kept on watching, and Leclerc would get within like 0.45, 0.5, 0.55. And then they'd go through that castle section and come out, and he would drop back to like 0.65. And then he just didn't have enough down that straightaway. And so it actually kind of, like, once I saw those numbers and they were talking about it and it kind of got proved, I was like less anxious because I would just watch, Leclerc's time and see, oh, he's in 0.5. Is he going to keep it through sector 2? Oh, nope. He dropped down to 0.7. Oscar's not at any risk right now. But it was crazy how close it was.
Yeah. And I think it kind of goes to show with Charles Leclerc versus Oscar Piastri in their driving style. Like, Charles Leclerc, I mean, you can't deny he's a good driver. He's a very talented driver.
Very.
He just, I don't know, like, he had a couple moments. There was only a handful of times where he had an opportunity, and I feel like just he needed a little bit more risk in order to get it. And then, so I don't know if he was just trying to play the long game and wait out the tires on Oscar Piastri. And you remember that one radio message where he was like, they're pushing the pace really fast. Either that or they've just got a lot more grip than we do. You could tell he's kind of surprised with how fast he was. But the most impressive thing for me was Charles Leclerc was right there.
Yeah.
He was just waiting for Oscar to make a mistake, and he didn't make one mistake.
No.
Not once. And so to have that amount of pressure for that long and to not put a foot wrong and not crack, that's impressive, man.
And then Iceman Jr. at the end of the race. Oh man, that was like the most stressful race of my life.
Yeah.
Yeah, sounds like it.
We couldn't tell. I mean, man, it's incredible, man.
And I have to say, Perez, up until lap 50, was freaking on it. That Red Bull was alive for him. And Max was back there, P7, P6, just complaining away. And it was like, okay, I feel like we're dealing with Mercedes last year, where Lewis Hamilton didn't have confidence in the car. All he did was complain, and he was very annoying. And Russell was like doing what he needed to do with the car and scoring points. And it's like we're there again, where I'm so sick of Max coming on the radio and complaining about how awful the car is. But you have Checo out front, like, contending for a victory. Good for Checo. It's the first time in forever. But like, it's, it made it really hard for me on this track to say where Red Bull is in the pecking order right now, because maybe if Max had more confidence in the car and was doing what Perez did, they'd be fighting for podiums and not P6. Like, is it the car? Is it the driver? I don't know what's going on.
Yeah, and I don't think they do either right now. And we got to see from the beginning, like you said, Perez was having a solid weekend. This is the weekend that he needed for both his confidence and the team's confidence in him, right up until the end there. But yeah, it's like, I don't get it. Max the whole time was complaining about that car, and it seemed like Perez was just like, I'm good. Yeah, I'm good, bro. And then, to see their race pace, he looked pretty good, but I don't know.
He blew the doors off Norris going down the straight. He had fresher tires, don't get me wrong. True. But it wasn't like he couldn't get past him. First attempt blew by him. Like, the car's got pace.
But like, to your point, I don't know if they're the third or the fourth fastest car right now.
I don't either.
I think it changes.
I don't know.
Who knows? I don't know necessarily if they're there. I think the McLarens and the Ferraris in that order for sure. But for me, the question mark is third or fourth. So
I thought it was interesting. I kind of read up on Max, did a full interview and gave some good context. And the short of it was keeping the tires in that happy window seemed really hard. Especially when he got up close to another car in the dirty air of another car. It just wasn't, it would overheat the tires and cause them to slide more, which would heat the tires up more, which would create more deg, which would cause more sliding. And it was like playing in quicksand for him. And I was like, that's kind of interesting. like it's almost like the Red Bull, it was built to perform out front with clean air, and it does really, really well. And now that they're getting in people's dirty air, it's like, oh shit, we haven't had to deal with this before. And that seems to be causing a lot of problems.
Especially, and now look, they've already lost first place in the drivers or constructors championship.
Can you believe that? McLaren is the number one constructor, bro.
Yes.
A year ago, they were the back markers.
They were. And you know what? Also thinking about a year ago, if I'm Red Bull right now and we're heading into Singapore after how we performed in Singapore last year, I'm nervous. They
better pay Ocon again.
Let's see. Right now, looking at the constructors, Red Bull has 456 points. They're 20 points below McLaren, but they are
21 points ahead of Ferrari only.
21. Yep. 21 ahead of Ferrari. So if they have a bad weekend like they had last year in Singapore and Ferrari finds themselves out front again, they might find themselves down in third place real quick.
Yeah. And it's almost not fair because had Checo finished the race, they would still be in first.
Well, remember, if Max Verstappen's mom had balls, she'd be his dad. So
you're not wrong. You're not wrong. This is racing. But I just want to say, like, again, It's Perez who had a great weekend. I was super happy to see it. But Perez is
the team's on your shoulders right now, buddy. We're counting on you. All right. Well, since we're here, you've teed it up. Let's talk about this incident with Checo and Carlos Sainz. Because going into it, you could tell, it looked to me like Charles Leclerc was going to drop off the podium.
Yeah.
Completely.
He lost his tires.
Yeah. And then that one, Checo almost went around the outside of turn one.
He was
and then, and then Carlos was going to get him eventually. But man, that incident, I'd like to see what your take is on Mr. Sainz and Perez.
I've watched it probably a dozen times. I've watched different people's point of views and different people's commentaries on it, and I'm still conflicted. My heart says it was mainly Perez's fault because he was the driver behind. He could see. Carlos Sainz did drift inside for sure. He was seeking Leclerc's slipstream. And he drifted away from the wall and into Perez, but Perez was sitting in his blind spot. So Carlos should have been aware he's there, but he doesn't know how close he is. He didn't jerk it across. He drifted, right? Perez was right there, drifting inward or outward towards Sainz, also trying to get in Leclerc's slipstream, but Perez could see everything. It was just like Monaco with K-Mag. Like, why are you opening yourself up for that? The slipstream is definitely going to help you a little bit, but crashing hurts you worse. Like, I don't know why Sainz's rear tire was next to his cockpit. You can't tell me you don't realize it's right there. Like, and for those reasons, Perez shouldn't have put himself in that situation to get knocked out. And he was racing hard, and I appreciate that. But when there's a giant tire next to your face, move away from it. You're the one that has room to move away, and you're the driver behind. So for those reasons, I'm putting most of the onus on Perez.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought up Monaco too, because now it's kind of showing like track record. Like you've already been in a similar situation. I look at it the same way.
Monaco crash cost almost $3 million.
Yeah.
Like
it was So I look at it as I put it 50-50, man. I've got it right down the center. But on Perez's side, just like you said, should have been able to see it. I think what happened is Perez got probably fixated on Charles Leclerc and just tunnel vision, didn't even think about it. But the way I look at it is like you look at somebody dig a hole and then they walk off and then you step in the hole and twist your ankle and you get mad at them for digging the hole, but you saw it. You could have avoided it. And so whether Carlos should have not come over or not, I think Perez had all the room in the world. He could have just went over just a little bit and, hey, fight it out in the next turn. Yeah. Instead of both of you guys being in the wall. And then you got the video of him walking up and looked like he hit him on the helmet.
Yeah.
Kind of reminiscent of George Russell and Bottas back in the day.
I thought it was funny, like the radio messaging. Carlos was so confused.
Yeah.
Like Checo was instantly pissed. And Carlos was like, what happened? Like,
yeah, it shows you like I think what happened with Carlos is, he was drifting over. He was thinking a rational person like myself would just drift over with him, right? He wouldn't just stick it in, like, we're going to take us both out. Like, and especially for Perez, man, in the situation that Perez has been in, this is the last thing he needed after the drive that he had. He had the opportunity to cap off a beautiful weekend with a podium.
Yeah.
He hasn't had a podium in
11
months.
races.
Oh, come on. And not only have you out-qualified Max, you've beat Max in the race. You've been happier with the car. You're about to step foot on the podium, maybe second place, who knows? And now look at him. He's not even finishing the race.
Yeah. I'm happy the stewards called it a racing incident. I think that's a very fair call from the stewards, but just Perez did not need to do. He just, even if it is 50-50, bro, why are you on 50% of that? Like,
shouldn't have been there. You should have conceded a little bit.
So,
but hey, Charles Leclerc got lucky by that one, because like we said, he was losing it off the podium, and a lot of other people got lucky too. I mean, Lando, where did Lando wind up? Was it fourth? Fourth, yeah.
Fourth place from 15th. What a hell of a drive.
That was a great drive by Lando. It was clean, and we got to see kind of a reversal of the papaya rules.
Hey,
like,
can you hold up Checo, please? We got to get Oscar back out. Yes, I can.
He held him up the exact amount of time he needed to. Oscar came out of the pits, still ahead of Checo. If it wasn't for Lando, who knows what would have happened.
Yeah.
So
that was race
good.
from McLaren. I got nothing but good things to say about McLaren this weekend. They really
McLaren went 51 laps without messing up the strategy or doing
for the
something
first
stupid.
Time.
Which it sounds like we're talking about Ferrari in the past couple of years. So, McLaren, good job, McLaren. You actually did that.
Yeah. I was looking at. I know Leclerc's got 2 wins and Sainz has a win as well, but I feel like Ferrari, for as close as they are to the Constructors' Championship, have just been silently doing good enough.
Yeah.
Not flashy, not a lot of TV time, not necessarily on the top step of the podium all the time, but just right there, picking up the
consistently
pieces.
In the conversation, picking up solid points week after week. And you're right. Now they're knocking at the door of Red Bull for that second spot right now.
Yeah. Great race though. Dude, when they freaking hit that wall, I was like, oh my gosh, holy shit. Like, and of course, I know I'm the only person awake. I'm texting you. I'm like, have you watched the race yet? And you're like, no, I can't till this evening. I was like, oh.
Yeah, that was incredible. One of the most exciting moments in a while.
Yeah.
I can't think of, well, Monaco is pretty exciting, but this is at the end of the race. So it's kind of for all the marbles at that point. So that's why this is so exciting. Man, I do want to talk about Franco Colapinto, though.
Yeah.
This guy is super impressive to me. And I don't know. I think it's like his aura. I was watching some of his interviews and some of his different interactions. I was like, I actually like this kid.
Yeah, very calm.
And then he gets out and just second race in the Williams, and he's already got 4 points. Logan Sargent had a year and a half and got 1 point, and it was given to him.
He out-qualified Albon.
Yeah.
He out-qualified him. Albon hasn't been out-qualified since like he was in a Red Bull.
He's a solid contender, and I feel so bad that he really doesn't have an opportunity for next year. Maybe Sauber, but I think there's a lot of rumors that Valtteri's already signed or is on the brink of re-signing with them. But honestly, that would be the only chance for somewhere to go.
Yeah.
I hope that hopefully he gets an opportunity soon and he's not like a Liam Lawson, but he's been doing really well so far.
Yeah, he really has. He had a great race, was on a different tire strategy than Albon. Albon started on the hards. But I mean, just solid. Like I know, like Ollie Behrman, and we're going to get to him, had a point. Both rookies scored points, but even Ollie was like, it's not exactly deserved. I was in 12th, and then, Sainz and Checo took him out. Like Colapinto was in the points on merit.
Yeah.
Which was awesome.
He would have got points regardless.
Yeah.
And
after a huge crash in FP1, you'd think that'd shake your second race in a Formula One car, and you have slammed a wall already. Like,
right,
man, what a great race.
Yeah, I'm sure the one thing that they told him when he got in that car was like, just don't crash. You don't got to win. You don't got to, light up the score sheets or anything. Just don't crash. And then crashing that one time. I would have been a little bit more like, maybe a little cautious, but yeah, not him. That was good for him.
James Val's interview after the race, that dude was on cloud 9.
Heck yeah, he was, man. They were so happy. Double point score for Williams. That's good to see. Now they're P8 in the championship.
Do you think Logan's watching the race going, damn it?
Actually, speaking of Logan, did you see where he was this weekend?
No.
So this weekend they had the final race of the IndyCar championship.
Okay.
And Logan Sargent was a distinguished guest of Andretti IndyCar team. He was in the garage with them. They were posting pictures on their Instagram with him involved.
Good for him.
So, yeah, over there at Indy. We'll see what happens.
Yeah. And Behrman becomes the first rookie to score points with 2 different teams.
Look, Behrman has 100% point scoring record
Yes.
in Formula One. He's flawless.
He's better than all of Kick Sauber, and he's half as good as the entire Alpine team. He's in 14th in the driver's standings.
Oh, here he is. Yeah. No, he's in 16th right
16th, excuse me.
But still ahead of K-Mag.
Ocon.
And just behind Gasly and Ricciardo. Which Ricciardo, it kind of slipped and went without notice. Ricciardo went 50 laps on those tires. They pitted him on lap 49. He had 1 lap old tires when he started. They pitted him on lap 49. He was just kind of not doing much, just out there flapping in the wind, unfortunately.
Just not. I mean, and then you had the whole Yuki Tsunoda and Stroll incident out of the gate, which Stroll was like, Yuki closed the door on me. That's because he was half a car length in front of you going into the apex of the turn. Like,
it's Stroll. I don't know what we expect at this point.
I mean, Yuki should have realized it was Stroll and probably left a little bit more room and ruined his own race. But it was just Yuki, like Perez, Yuki is not Red Bull's favorite. He needs to be operating at 100%. If he wants a chance. And then dumb things like crashing with Stroll, it's just like, come on, bud.
This is two races in a row. He's lost the right side pod now.
Yeah.
And had to retire early. Last week was what? Hulkenberg hit him. And then now we've got Stroll, which anytime you see Stroll in the mirrors, watch out, buddy.
Yeah, no kidding. All right, let's get to these heroes and zeros. I know you and I spoke briefly. Both of us don't have a lot of zeros and we have a lot of heroes. So I'm kind of curious to hear who your zeros are, and I'll let you have.
Okay. I've like I said, I have 1.5. I'm hesitant on the half, but I'll just give him a half point for 0. So my first 0, I'm gonna go just as a whole with Red Bull.
Yeah.
Just because, like we said, don't really know where they're at. Max was unhappy with the car. Checo was on my heroes list until that incident, and I can't put him there now because he ruined his race. He ruined points opportunity for the team. And so because of that, I've got both of those guys, or actually the whole team, on my zeros list. The other one, I'm hesitant, but I'm going to put him here just because of the stat that I'm going to tell you. I got Lewis Hamilton on there.
Interesting.
And he had a great race. He had a good enough race. He had a comeback through the field. But let's see, he started from the pit lane.
Yep.
Where did he qualify at before that? Do you know?
He qualified 7th.
Okay. So he qualified 7th, but the reason I'm putting him down here is he's now 13-4 when it comes to quali, him versus Russell. And so you see his interviews afterwards, he's starting to feel like after the quali, he always just like looks down, and you could tell like it's starting to get to him. His racing is good, his race pace is good, but
he's got quite a few more points, though. 166 to 143.
Like I said, he was a half 0. I only put him there because I felt like I needed something. But yeah, he'll be my quasi 0 on there.
I'm very similar. Actually, I guess you could say my 2 or your 1. I listed out Perez and Max separately for different reasons. Okay. Perez, I think we beat that horse. You had such a good weekend. You had so much going for you, and then the accident. So been there, done that. Max is on mine specifically because I am sick of listening to him complain. He is that annoying, what Lewis Hamilton was last. I love watching Lewis win right now, and I love watching Max win. Big fan. But every time you see the Verstappen radio come on, I'm like, oh God, what is he going to complain about this time?
Yeah.
Like, your teammate, who is not anywhere near the caliber of driver you are, is fighting for a podium right now. You're bitching in 6th place, getting passed by Lando Norris, who started in 15th, and George Russell. The hell? Like,
yeah. Not wrong.
It's just, I'm sick of, I hate when the drivers get to this phase where every time they talk, they're just complaining.
Yeah.
I'm just like, ugh.
I mean, I get it. You're right. You're Max. You just come off last year. It was one of the most dominant seasons of all. And now the car is slipping away from you. But yeah, I understand. It's like, it gets old.
It gets old. I'm just, all right. Heroes.
All right. This is a much happier category here.
I think it shows what a good race it is that we have so many heroes together. And I'm sure some of ours overlap. But I mean, I've got 6 listed without even trying.
Let's hear them.
You want me to go first?
Yeah, go for it.
I'm going to call it both the rookies. Great race, no incidents, not an easy track. It's a street circuit with 90-degree turns, 215 mile an hour straightaways. Like, got it all. Great double points finish for both of them. Great race for the rookies. Really awesome for each individually. Man, I've got a bunch on here. I'm going to call out Oscar Piastri as an individual for a banger of a race. You put it perfectly. With that much pressure behind him, all Leclerc was waiting for him to do is make a mistake for 31 laps, and he didn't make a single one. Fucking awesome. God, I've got more on here. Because I'm going to give you, I know you've got a couple of these other ones on here. I'm going to go with Williams. Double points finish, 10-point haul. They were ecstatic. I love to see them doing so well. The whole team is so happy. I like Franco Colapinto a ton. I'm excited to see him do more. So, I mean, Williams as a whole, I think, gets a huge standing ovation.
Yeah, definitely agree. All right, so I want to do McLaren as a whole. Yeah, just because I think
McLaren as a whole on here as well.
Right, yeah. Strategy wise, good on them. No controversies this weekend.
This weekend, we'll see how next weekend goes.
Yeah, we don't want to get ahead of ourselves. They came out with 2 really fast cars. I don't think either one of the drivers really complained about anything with the car. And Lando Norris starting back in P15, coming all the way back up to P4. Clean, awesome drive by him. Amazing drive by Oscar. You can't ask for more. If they could just do that week in and week out, then they'd be solid. Let's see. I did have, so I want to mention with Behrman beat Hülkenberg.
Yeah.
And granted, I went back and I was watching because they swapped right at the end. I watched what happened. Hülkenberg hit a piece of debris going through the incident with Checo. And so he went a little wide. And when he went a little bit wide on that one turn, Lewis and Behrman both went through.
Yeah. And
so it just went to the green flag right when they got through that section. So, but it was still, he beat him. He beat Hülkenberg, which is impressive. And then, I got the Williams on here as well. I got Colapinto on here. So, I think we had pretty solid on the same with all of our heroes.
I want to call one thing out. Stat that I heard that blew my mind that I had to go check on. Lando Norris. Okay. This was the first weekend out of the entire year that he gained a position on the first lap. He was the only driver in the entire field prior to this weekend that had never gained a position on the first lap.
That doesn't surprise me,
but it's crazy. It's crazy.
Right? Like, look, and we've talked about some of his weaknesses, and that first lap that's a big weakness that Lando needs to work on. And you know what? Good for him. Granted, he's fighting in the back he's fighting with Haas's and Alpines. Yeah, he passed Danny
Ricciardo as Stroll and Tsunoda crashed each other out, but he made a pass at least.
If he would have lost places, the people behind him were starting in the pit lane. Oh man, good on him for getting rid of that stat.
I thought that was a really Lando and Charles Leclerc have like all of the worst records. Charles Leclerc's got like the most Max Verstappen wins from a Leclerc pole. Lando's got the most podiums without a race win. Like all the stats no one really wants to have.
Oh man, well hopefully that's turning around. Lando Norris world champion. Let's go. It's getting to be tougher, but we'll see.
All right.
Let's do predictions, man.
Man, I was on it for an awesome points haul in these predictions, and then freaking Checo.
Yep.
All right, so we're in Baku. current standings, I have 38. You have 21. On pole, we both had Lando Norris.
I am so upset because on my sheet, it's written down, I've got Norris/Leclerc because I was going to go with Leclerc if you said Norris. And I was like, no, I'm sticking with it. And I should have went with Leclerc.
Should have went with Leclerc. P3.
All right.
I had Charles Leclerc.
I got the race winner. I got Oscar Piastri in P3.
Yeah, I was close. I had Norris in P2.
Oh, I had Leclerc in P2.
So you got that one. All right.
I got that one.
I got the Oscar Piastri win.
Oh, you did do that, didn't you?
I did.
Oh, I thought I was getting 1 point on you. I had a Norris win.
And then wild card, I had Max out of the top 5, which he was.
So Checo ruined both of our wild cards because I had Perez was going to beat Max, and which he was. So that's why I've been so damn.
And you got
so did I.
1 point. All right.
That's why I'm so critical of this guy this weekend. He ruined it. Well, I mean, we would have both had a point for that anyway, so it wouldn't have changed much. But
still, it's the principle of the matters.
It is. It's the fact that he crashed on almost the last lap.
Oh, what a good race, though. Great weekend. Yeah. Ton of fun. I don't think Singapore is going to be as much fun.
We'll see what happens. Last year there was, I think Fernando Alonso killed an iguana. The Red Bulls were absolutely terrible. People were passing out. Lance Stroll was fainting in the car.
10 minutes with those double Mercedes pit stop coming through the field was pure insanity, right up to the point where Russell went for the gap.
Oh man, hey, what did they say? If you stop going for the gap, then you're no longer a race car driver.
He nailed the gap right on the letters.
Sent her a little too hard there, bud. Let's not do that again this year.
Well, you saw that like the word that on the wall that he crashed into, he hit the word gap.
That's not what they meant when they said the quote. He's like, "Oh, I get it. Oh, wrong gap."
But the last 10 laps were a banger last year, but the rest of the race was like Monaco this year.
Yep. So we're coming up. Let's see, like you said, we got Singapore. We've got some good races, but there's not many. Singapore, U.S., Mexico, Brazil, Las Vegas, and Qatar. And we got, I think U.S. is a sprint, and then Brazil is a sprint as well, I believe.
Yep.
Oh, okay. A lot of opportunity for points, but I think that Lando's door is window is getting smaller if he wants that championship.
Yeah, he needed this one. I will say, last thoughts on that. Watching Max's interview, he was positive. Like after the race, he was like, "The car's doing good. It's the setup." He's like, "We took it going into quali. We tweaked the setup and pushed it over the limit." He was like, so he was slightly positive, which I think is a good thing. Time will tell.
Yep. So quick update on the drivers right now. We've got Max Verstappen still in first with 313 points. Lando Norris now has 254 and Charles Leclerc has 235.
59
and for good
points.
measure, Oscar's got 222. So you've got those three it's going to be it's going to come down, I think, to the wire, especially for second and third. Hopefully there'll be some contention for that first place, but time will tell.
Was it 2008 Kimi Räikkönen won the world championship by 1 point?
I don't know specifically if that was the date or not, but it was sometime around there.
That's it was like a 3-way run for it, and Kimi came out on top because the top two crashed out. Kimi finished like 4th place in the last race, but won the world championship.
Look, man, I've got a prediction that Lando Norris is going to lose it by 10 points or less, and those are going to be the 7 that they should have swapped it, and then the other 3 they should have swapped it, but we'll see.
I don't know. I think it'll be really interesting. I hope Lando, what I'm at this point kind of hoping for, because I'm just not the biggest Lando fan, I like Oscar more, is if Lando gets called out in quali, makes a mistake, and Oscar has another one of these races, you're going to have them dead tied in points, and then we'll see what Papaya rules do.
Hey, when that happens, gloves are off.
Yeah.
Let them go.
Let them race.
I'm down. Yeah.
All
right, well, I think that might be it. If you guys like this podcast, make sure and leave us a rating and a review and share it with a friend if you can. But other than that, you got anything else, Dylan?
Man, that's all I got.
All right. Well, we'll be back in a couple days with the Singapore predictions. So on that note,
Stay classy, America.
We'll see you next time.